If you're on a fertility journey, you've probably heard the word luck thrown around a lot. But what if I told you there's a crucial piece of the puzzle that you might be missing and it has absolutely nothing to do with luck? Today we're going to dive into how a key hormone, insulin, can seriously impact your ability to conceive. And more importantly, we're going to talk about what you can actually do about it.
This quote from Dr. Natalie Crawford just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures what we're talking about today. The whole idea that fertility is just a roll of the dice can feel so disempowering, but the science shows that you have way more control than you might think. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll bust that luck myth. Then we'll introduce the main character in our story today, insulin. We'll look at what happens when things go a little haywire and what that means for your body. And of course, the best part, we'll get into the real, actionable steps you can take and the numbers you need to know.
Okay, let's get right into it. The first big idea we need to wrap our heads around is this. Fertility isn't some separate, random thing. It's actually a direct reflection of your overall health. Even subtle shifts in your metabolic health can cause this low-grade inflammation all over your body, and that can create problems long before a doctor ever diagnoses you with a formal disease.
And that brings us to a really important distinction, the difference between normal and optimal. You might get your lab results back and the doctor says everything's normal, which just means you don't have a diagnosable disease. But optimal? That means your body is firing on all cylinders, working at its absolute best for fertility. It's in that gap, that space between normal and optimal, where these issues can start quietly brewing.
So what's the connection here? Well, let's bring in our key player, insulin. I want you to think of your hormones as this super complex communication system in your body. And let me tell you, insulin is one of the loudest, most powerful messengers in that whole network.
To put it simply, insulin is a hormone that your pancreas makes. When you eat, your body breaks that food down into glucose. That's the main energy source for pretty much everything you do. Insulin's whole job is to act like a key, unlocking your cells so that glucose can get inside and be used for fuel.
Now here's a great little analogy to help this all make sense. Imagine insulin is a very polite, very professional salesman. So you eat your meal. That creates glucose in your blood. Your pancreas sends out our salesman, insulin, who walks up to a cell door and gives a polite little knock. The door swings open, the glucose goes inside, and your body gets the energy it needs. See? Simple, efficient, a perfect system.
But what happens when this beautiful, elegant system starts to break down? This is where we run into a problem called insulin resistance. It's basically what happens when our very polite salesman starts to get a little too pushy because he has to.
See, if your glucose levels are always high, maybe from diet or stress or not enough sleep, your pancreas has to send out that insulin salesman over and over and over again. All day, it's knock, knock, knock. And just like you would, your cells eventually get annoyed. They get tired of the constant knocking, and they just stop answering the door.
And you can see the difference right here. A healthy cell hears that polite knock and opens right up, but a resistant cell, that door stays shut. So the pancreas has to send more and more insulin. The polite knock turns into a loud, frantic banging on the door, just trying to get the same job done. That, right there, is insulin resistance, needing way more insulin to get the same result.
Okay, so why does this matter so much for fertility? Because all that banging, all that extra insulin floating around isn't harmless. It sets off a whole chain reaction of problems throughout your body, and your reproductive system is right in the crosshairs.
Let's just run through the list of what high insulin does. For starters, it's highly inflammatory. It also screams at your body to store fat, especially that dangerous visceral fat around your organs. It directly messes with your ovarian hormone production, and it creates a ton of static or interference in that critical communication line between your brain and your ovaries that controls ovulation. The bottom line, it's linked to taking longer to get pregnant, higher miscarriage rates, and even worse outcomes with IVF.
Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom, but here is the empowering part. This is the good news. This is not your destiny. You have so much power to reverse this. There are clear, science-backed ways to break this cycle and get your cells listening to that polite knock again.
So let me introduce you to your body's secret weapon in this fight, something called the GLUT4 transporter. Think of it like a VIP entrance for glucose that's located in your muscles. And here's the coolest part. It does not need insulin to open the door. What's the catch? You have to use your muscles to open it. This is your biological hack. It's a direct way to get sugar out of your blood and give your poor, overworked pancreas a break. This all leads us to 4 pillars of action. Number 1, build and use those muscles. Open up that VIP entrance. Number 2, prioritize your sleep. It's like a factory reset for your cells every night. 3, manage your stress response. When you feel that stress spike, go for a quick walk or do some squats. Burn off that stress-induced glucose. And number 4, focus on food quality. Think fiber first and try to steer clear of the ultra-processed stuff.
And please remember, you are not in this alone. There are medical tools that can be a huge help. Things like metformin or supplements like inositol can be powerful allies in this journey. They work with these lifestyle changes to improve how your cells communicate, so definitely talk to your doctor about them.
Now that you have the playbook, how do you keep score? Let's talk about the key numbers you need to know, the ones that will help you have a really productive, informed conversation with your doctor.
There are really 2 main tests to have on your radar. The first is hemoglobin A1C. This is like your 3-month report card on your blood sugar. It's great for spotting a problem that's already well established. But the real MVP here is the fasting insulin test. This is your early warning system. It tells you how hard your pancreas is having to work to keep your blood sugar normal. This is how you catch the problem before it becomes a full-blown disease.
So what are we aiming for? What's the number? For optimal health, especially for fertility, you want to see a fasting insulin level below 7. That gives you a clear, concrete goal to work towards with your healthcare team.
You know, if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that you are in the driver's seat of your own health. You have the power to make changes that can really influence your fertility journey. So I'll leave you with this question. Knowing what you know now, what's one choice, even a small one, that you'll make today to start taking that power back? Thanks so much for being here.